I can't keep pretending anymore, my husband said, tapping his glass while 40 people turned to look at me. The room smelled like vanilla cake and cheap champagne. Someone's fork clinked against a plate. The slideshow behind him froze on a smiling photo of his mother. Eric cleared his throat. Tonight seems like the right time to be honest. My smile stayed on my face, but it felt stiff and wrong. Then he said it. I want a divorce. A few people gasped. His sister leaned forward in her chair like she had been waiting for this moment all night. I felt the air leave my chest. But Eric wasn't finished. He looked directly at me and said, "And I can't ignore what's been happening with our money anymore." The room went very quiet. I found money missing from our account, he continued, shaking his head like a disappointed husband. I tried to protect you, but I can't keep covering for you. Murmurs spread across the tables. 40 pairs of eyes turned toward me. Some curious, some judging, some already convinced. Eric thought he had destroyed me in one speech. What he didn't know was that I had been preparing for this moment for months. My name is Danielle Harper, and I'm 38 years old. I wasn't the one turning 60 that night. His mother was. The party was for her, and I had organized the entire thing. That's what I always did. I made things look perfect. I work as an office administrator at a local medical clinic. It's not glamorous work. Mostly schedules, paperwork, and patient files. But I'm good at it. Quietly organized, reliable. I don't come from money. My parents ran a small hardware store before they retired. Nothing fancy, just honest work. Eric's family was different. They had traditions, expectations, private jokes I never understood. From the beginning, I was the outsider. His sister was the favorite child. Everyone knew it, though no one said it directly. His mother made it clear in subtle ways. She placed her daughter next to her in family photos. She saved the best seats at holidays. She laughed louder at her jokes. I usually ended up at the far end of the table. Eric used to defend me, at least in the early years. Mom doesn't mean anything by it, he would whisper when we drove home. I believed him then. We had been married 12 years. No kids, just routines, shared bills, quiet evenings in the same house. And over time, the distance between us grew slowly, like a crack in glass that spreads until the whole surface is weak. I wasn't loud. I didn't fight for attention. I didn't compete with his family. But I did have something they never noticed: patience and proof. If you've ever been the in-law who never quite felt accepted, you understand that quiet feeling of being on the outside. If that's you, hit the subscribe button. Have you ever stayed quiet just to keep the peace? Tell me in the comments. I read everyone. And if you believe quiet people aren't weak, click hype. Now let me tell you what happened next. The banquet hall looked beautiful that night. Soft lights hung across the ceiling. White tablecloths covered every round table. I had chosen pale blue flowers for the centerpieces because they were his mother's favorite. 40 guests filled the room. Family members, church friends, co-workers. I had spent weeks planning every detail. The catering smelled amazing. Roast chicken, fresh bread, warm herbs. People were laughing during dinner. Glasses clinked. Someone told a long story about a vacation. Then Eric stood up. At first, I thought he was about to give a sweet speech for his mother. Instead, he said he had something important to say. "I've been unhappy for years," he announced. The words dropped into the room like stones. His mother pressed a hand to her chest. Oh my. Eric sighed dramatically. "Danielle and I have grown apart," he said. "She's been distant, secretive." His sister slowly shook her head. "I've tried to make it work," Eric continued. "But I can't live like this anymore." Then he said he was moving out. "I already signed a lease last week," he added. More whispers. People turned toward me again. I hadn't moved. My hands stayed folded in my lap. Then came the accusation. "I found money missing from our joint account." The words echoed in the room. His sister leaned toward another relative and whispered loudly, "That explains a lot." I opened my mouth to speak. Eric raised a hand toward me. "Please," he said softly, "don't lie tonight." My credibility cracked right there. I could see it in people's faces. His mother sighed and said, "She's always been a little secretive." Then Eric added another piece. "She's been working late a lot," he said carefully. I tried not to think the worst. He didn't say the word affair. He didn't have to. The suggestion hung in the air. Guests shifted in their chairs. No one defended me. Then I noticed something else. A woman from Eric's office was sitting near the back. Eric smiled at her briefly. "Some people have been very supportive during hard times," he said. They stood too close when they spoke later. Too familiar. I could feel humiliation creeping up my neck like heat. Still, I stayed calm. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. Reacting emotionally would make me look guilty. Instead, I slowly glanced toward the AV booth at the side of the room, and I waited. Months earlier, I had noticed something strange. Small withdrawals from our bank account. Not huge amounts, but enough to catch my attention. I didn't accuse Eric. I watched. Then I asked a friend of mine, an accountant, to quietly review the statements. What we found surprised both of us. The money wasn't missing. It had been transferred into another account. An account under Eric's name only. That was the first piece of truth. The second piece came from the banquet hall itself. When I booked the venue, the manager casually mentioned their security system. Full CCTV coverage, lobby, entrances, hallways. Earlier that evening, I had stepped outside for fresh air. That's when I saw Eric in the lobby. He was arguing with the office woman. Their voices were low, but their faces were tense. After they walked away, I approached the venue manager. I asked a simple question. "If needed, can footage be replayed tonight?" He shrugged and said, "Sure, we can send it to the projector if you want." I nodded politely. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth. And truth has a funny way of arriving right on time. My ally that night was Janice. She's the director at the clinic where I work. Early 50s. Calm, sharp, respected by everyone in town. Weeks earlier, when I showed her the strange bank transfers, she didn't panic. She simply said, "Document everything." Then she added something else. "Sometimes people accuse others of what they're doing themselves." Projection. The word stayed in my mind. Janice attended the party as my guest. When Eric stood there accusing me, she didn't react. She simply squeezed my hand under the table. Her voice was calm. "Are you ready?" she whispered. Across the room, Eric's sister spoke loudly. "Maybe it's better this way." His mother nodded. "We'll help Eric get back on his feet." They thought the story was finished. They thought I was too quiet to respond. Janice stood slowly. Her chair slid softly against the floor. She walked toward the event coordinator near the projector. My heart beat hard in my chest. Then I stood up too. "I'd like the microphone," I said. The room turned again. Eric looked annoyed. "Danielle, this isn't necessary." I took the microphone anyway. My hands trembled slightly. "Before everyone makes up their minds," I said, "can we watch something?" The lights dimmed. The projector screen lit up. First came the lobby footage. Eric stood near the entrance with the office woman. He handed her a thick envelope. The room leaned forward. The audio caught fragments of their conversation. "Once this is done," Eric said quietly, "we'll finally be free." Gasps rippled across the tables. The video switched to another clip. Eric sitting at the banquet hall's business center computer earlier that day. A timestamp appeared in the corner. Janice stepped forward beside me. She spoke clearly. "That timestamp matches the exact moment a large transfer was made from the Harper joint account." People began whispering again. "But the funds weren't stolen," Janice continued calmly. They were rerouted into a private account belonging to Eric. His mother's face lost color. The office woman grabbed her purse and rushed toward the exit. Eric laughed weakly. "This is out of context," he said quickly. I looked straight at him. "You accused me in front of everyone," I said. "I'm just correcting the record." The room fell silent. The humiliation he had planned for me settled squarely on his shoulders. I didn't yell. I didn't insult him. Instead, I pulled a small folder from my purse. Inside were printed bank statements. I handed them to him. "The divorce can proceed," I said quietly. "But now it's honest." His sister stared at the floor. His mother avoided my eyes. Guests began leaving slowly. Their whispers followed Eric, not me. Janice stayed beside me as we walked toward the exit. Outside, the night air felt cool and clean. I felt lighter than I had in years. Not because my marriage ended, but because the truth didn't. Sometimes staying quiet isn't weakness. Sometimes it's strategy. Have you ever been falsely accused in front of others? Do you know what it feels like to stand alone while everyone believes the wrong story? Share your experience in the comments. I want to hear it. Subscribe if you believe truth deserves a voice. Did this story hit home? Let me know by liking the video and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Your support makes a huge difference.